Hi, welcome to Book Bites, and today I'm going to teach a little method that comes from the book The Art of Woo, using strategic persuasion to sell your ideas by G. Richard Schell and Mario Mosa. Now, G. Richard Schell is one of my favorite authors. He is actually a professor at the Wharton School of Business. Now, today's book bite and the little lesson that we're going to take out of this actually comes from the very beginning of the book on selling ideas. That's what this book is about, and I recommend it even if you're not considering yourself a salesperson. There's a lot that you can learn from this book because, in fact, you do have to sell people all the time. So let me give you an idea of, when you think about, what does it mean to sell an idea? What does it mean to sell in general? Now, often when we think about sales, what we happen to think about, what's in our mind, is this idea of the buyer and seller part of sales. So for instance, it's just, a car salesman is the classic cliche where you're, at a lot and you're trying to move the product. And that's what a salesperson does. And that's true, that is a salesperson, but at its core, if you move out a little farther from that, a little further, what a salesperson really is doing is persuading a person to accept something, buy my product. And so you're trying to convince them to accept this idea that your product is worthwhile. That's what sales is. It's at its core, it's persuasion. It's the ability to persuade a person to purchase a product. Now, of course, there are good ways of doing this and bad ways of doing this, just like anything else. This book focuses on really good ways. Now, expand even further from just buyer and seller of like a car, a product, or a service. And there's the idea, and then there's the concept, I should say, of selling ideas. Now, one way to think about this is not a new concept. This is not something we do today. This is an ancient concept that classical geniuses like Aristotle and Cicero thousands of years ago said was the mark of an educated man. That this is the key critical component to education, is to be able to, sell ideas. And they had a term for it. They called it rhetoric. Today, rhetoric's all but dead in education system. So to supplement that, I highly recommend getting books like this, The Art of Woo, to kind of help you learn the skill that you should learn anyway. Because selling an idea is, for instance, you're trying to persuade somebody to invest in your company. You're trying to persuade your boss to change his mind on some new endeavor that he's trying to go on. You're saying that this is not a good idea, and you want to persuade him, but you're failing. It's because you're not very proficient at the art of woo, which they define as winning others over, or selling ideas, or rhetoric. And this is a complex idea and skill-based to learn, and that everyone should gain this ability and this skill. Today I'm going to read a quick little story from The Art of Woo called It's Only 7 Letters. And this is how one man persuaded his boss to rename the company, to change what they were thinking about naming their company, and to kind of make it what this individual thought it should be. And we'll see what happens. So we're going to go to the very beginning of Sam Walton's big career successes. Now, he started off doing some variety stores in, I think, Arkansas. He did, he had it was called Walton's 5 and Dime store. And they were doing well, and he wanted to have a brand new superstore, and this is going to, change the way retail was done. And he kind of started creating that, and he built his first couple stores. Now, one of his top employees was a man named Bob Boggle, and I think that's Bogle. He wanted to name the store, this new storefront, Walmart. Now, here's the problem. Sam Walton hated the Sam Walton name that they used before, not because he hated his name, but because he did not like parading around his ego. He didn't like that whole idea at all. It was a bad thing. He was trying to appeal to the common man, and he definitely didn't want to be parading like, this is my store. That's not what Sam Walton was all about. So he did not want to name the new mega stores that he was going to be creating that had anything to do with his name. So Walmart, Sam Walton, which is, kind of a combination of this types of thing, of the marketplace and Walmart. He didn't want to have anything to, he would not have liked that name. And Bob Boggle knew that. So Bob came up with an idea to pitch, to persuade his boss that this was the ideal way to go. And here's how he did it. He went to Sam Walton. When Sam Walton was in the process of creating the sign itself, he was getting together the letters that they were going to create, and they were going to do something. They were playing around with some names like Ben Franklin's Variety Store and things like that that did not have his name in it. And this is what Boggle did. So Boggle sat down with them, they talked about it, and he grabbed out a piece of paper, and he grabbed out a pen, and right in front of him, and just started jotting down something here. Now here's something you need to know about Walmart before I show you this piece of paper that convinced Sam Walton to do this. The core, most important value to Sam Walton and the most important value to Walmart as a company that they stand for is cost savings, because they wanted to be very cheap so they could pass the savings on to their customers. That's what made Walmart great. So appealing to Sam Walton's ego would have been the wrong pitch. And I think that's how most people would have done it. They would have said, do Walmart because it'll make you look better. It's your name. We want to put your name together and just do it. That's how most people would pitch it. Not a professional persuader. He knew his audience. So this is what he did. He wrote it down on a piece of paper. Let's see if you could see this. And he pointed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's only 7 letters. Now, Mr. Walton, you know how expensive it is to do something like 23 letters, because we did it before with the Waltons 5 and Dime. We did it, think about how expensive it's going to be to create the letters for Ben Franklin's Variety Store. It's a lot of letters, and the bigger we get, the more, we're going to have to keep buying all these letters, and it's going to cost more and more money. It's only 7 letters, so it will save us money. And that way we can pass it on to our audience and to our customers. That is how Bob Boggle sold Sam Walton on putting the wall in Walmart. And I just want to point out 5 quick little things that you can learn from this. And, this is the very beginning of the book, so you need to go into it more to get the details on how to learn how to do this. But I still think you can learn a little bit about it yourself. Boggle did 5 things. Richard Schell and Mario Musso point out. One is that he had a specific goal. His goal was for Sam Walton to adopt his name. Very specific, very clear. End goal, end objective, Sam Walton uses Walmart. Number 2, he identified the decision maker. In this case, it was very simple. Sam Walton made the decision. Number 3, Boggle drew on his credibility as a top employee. That's important. Credibility is probably one of the most important parts of being a good persuader. And, there's, if you go to booktales.org, you can get the Booktales summary on this. And there are several stories about how men in history have built their credibility starting with no credibility at all. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4 is he appealed to the core interest of not only Sam Walton, but what the business was supposed to be about, cost savings. Number 4, Boggle used his knowledge of Sam Walton as a person. He knew, for instance, that Sam Walton was a guy who liked to solve problems on the spot. So he did not set up a meeting and a commission and a committee, and do some surveys on this product, on the name, and should they make this name, and create all these big rigmarole to figure it all out. No, what he did was, when Sam Walton was making the decision and he was looking at different letters to put together to make the actual sign, that's when Boggle struck. And he knew that was the time, even though he already had the idea for Walmart. So that's important. These 5 things, having a specific goal, identifying the decision maker, drawing on your credibility, appealing to their actual interests and core values, and using your knowledge of them as a person or as the audience. These are 5 critical parts of being a great persuader, and it's something that you can learn by reading the book, The Art of Woo, using strategic persuasion to sell your ideas. And if you want, you can go to www.booktales.org, and you can actually read the book summary that I've created there, And if you like the stories there and some of the summary there, then I highly recommend you get the actual full book. Okay, have a good day.